cargo dress, but I don't care. Hello and welcome back. Today I want to talk about some differences in Japanese culture and habits I picked up since I started living here. Some of them are pretty obvious and some of them are not. It's interesting how you change while living in a different country. First of all, I'm eating much slower. When I get food, and the Japanese style food has many little dishes and the typical food, and even at home I eat slower. Why? Because I use chopsticks, and with chopsticks it's more natural, I think, that you eat slower. For example, I had a salad today for lunch and there was a fork, but I chose to eat it with chopsticks because I am aware of my problem to eating too fast, and I decide when I use chopsticks I can eat much slower and enjoy my meal longer. And I feel when I'm full. So I think it's a good habit though. Another eating habit. Back in Germany, I was a vegetarian. When I moved to Japan, I started to eat meat. What? Why? Many points are playing to this one, because in Japan, it's hard to eat meat-free. It's possible. I don't say that's impossible or not to do, but it's easier if you eat meat. Especially in Okinawa, in the Okinawan diet, there's lots of meat. And in the beginning, I worked at izakayas and some things. If you want to know where I worked, especially how I ended up here and what I did in the beginning, check out my another video. But it is, in Japanese culture, it's kind of rude to say no, or I don't like that, because they feel personally offended or they don't offer you anything anymore. I didn't want that, so I just swallowed my pride and started to eat meat. The reasons I didn't eat meat in Germany was I didn't like the flavor. I didn't like the taste, and actually how they prepare meat here and how the meat tastes here is kind of different. I can't explain why. I think there is a reason, because they are butchered different in a different way, so the meat tastes different, but I don't know for sure. That's my knowledge I got from some people when I asked. So I don't know. You can look it up, and if you know, let me know in the comment section. I would really like to know why the meat, in my opinion, tastes different in Japan. Or another habit I picked up is to apologize more for everything, or like just in general. When you live in Japan, you hear sumimasen, sumimasen, sumimasen. Sumimasen means excuse me, I'm sorry. So if you bump into each other, like usually both people apologize, not only the person who bumped into you, but you apologize for being in the way and holding the door open for someone. And in the beginning I didn't understand, but they just don't want to be rude, so that's why they just apologize a lot. And I observe it actually with my Japanese colleagues. They apologize a lot for things. It's like when I think, it's like, hey, why are you apologizing? There's no need for that. It's really interesting. But if you hear that a lot and often, you start to pick it up. And so I apologize way more than I did before for things I would never apologize for. Because it's not, for example, dropping something and you apologize, but no one was hurt, it's not broken, and like just like sorry for the noise I made. It's like really interesting. People who know me in person know that I'm not very patient. I'm impatient. I'm an impatient person. I don't like to wait because I don't want to waste time. I don't know whether it's because of Japan or because of my work, or maybe both, because I work at a kindergarten. I'm much more patient. You can see that I'm late sometimes. In Germany, I tend to never be late. Never ever I was late. Nowadays, I'm late sometimes. Maybe it is because of Okinawa, because it's in subtropical island and people just used to get a little bit late. It's Okinawan time, as people say. It's like, Okinawan time. That's fine. 5-10 minutes, no problem. And Japanese people are so patient. They're waiting in line for hours without complaining. I would never do that. But here it's no problem. Another one is a funny one, and it's hard to get rid of when you go back to your country. It's bowing for saying hello or goodbye or thank you or apologizing. You always bow all the time. It's been a little bit because of Corona, but when I've been back to Germany, I did it a lot too, because I just picked it up. So like even a little bit, just a little bit bowing, I do that all the time, and I think that's really interesting and a habit it's hard to get rid of, because it's normal here that you bow all the time. Yes, even when I'm on a scooter and someone lets me pass in a car, I bow on my scooter. Interesting story it happened to me. I work in a school and sometimes I meet new parents, and one of the kids' parents was American. So the parent came in and shook my hand, or like took my hand, like, or holded his hand to shake it. I was so confused and surprised. I didn't know for a second what to do. Of course I know what to do. I grew up with it, but I was like, it was so uncommon and so not in the setting I'm used to. Like, yes, hello, nice to meet you. But it was just weird. It was just so, this situation was so weird for me because it was out of the comfort zone I'm usually in. And like, yeah, people used to do that where I grew up. And if I go back to Germany or somewhere like westernized culture again, I think that's a thing that's really weird, and a habit I like because it's very polite and it's good for Corona, or against Corona, because you don't have to touch the hands all the time. Another Japanese thing that I picked up, but it's not in general Japanese, because I was used to do that in Germany too, but not in that amount. So taking your shoes off. Just an example how my shoes look because of Japanese habits and taking shoes. Or habits I picked up in Japan. Usually the shoes rack is like this because I do this all the time, and I don't, or this part is inwards because I usually just slip in with my foot like this. I don't even care because I'm taking them off fast anyway, so they don't have to be comfortable. Or I just make them super loose, as you can see here, so I don't have to open and redo them all the time. You have to take your shoes off when you enter a Japanese home. No questions asked. You can choose. It's not optional. You have to take your shoes off. And usually when you're a guest, there are slippers for you. Even I have slippers in my shoe closet for people who are visiting me. But not only at home, like in some restaurants, you have to take your shoes off. In some public facilities, you have to take your shoes off. Even in some museums, you have to take your shoes off. There is a museum nearby and with an old Okinawan house, and if you want to go in and have a look, you have to take your shoes off. That was really surprising for me when I moved here, because I had to carry my shoes through a museum. That was so weird. On the other hand, it's really good because you don't carry the dirt from the street into your apartment or like the facilities you're visiting. I could go on forever because these are like tiny things that you find out after a while. And when I refer to myself, in Germany we refer to ourselves like, oh, you mean me? It's like, are you talking about me? You point to your chest. But especially with kids in Japan, they point to their nose. So when you ask me now, it's like, ah, you mean me? I point to my nose all the time. I think it's cute, so I don't know. A funny gesture I picked up is another hand gesture, arm gesture, and I know for sure it's because of the places I worked at, because I had to answer lots of yes and no questions, like especially in the restaurant when it was where I worked, when it was far away and my boss or my colleagues asked me something. It's like, oh, is it done already? When I didn't want to yell, I just said no and crossed my arms or said yes. This gesture, like an O shape above my head, and it was like, okay. In Germany sometimes you can do this for sure, like it's not there anymore, we're not open. But this, I think people wouldn't understand. A few more things. One thing I do, but just because of the weather conditions and that like habit, not my friends, but like the shows I watched, they do it all the time, and people I talk to, they do it all the time, and you see it everywhere in supermarkets and drugstores and cosmetic stores. Sunscreen. I apply sunscreen every day in the morning, and when I go out I have sunscreen in my bag, always. Okinawa is very hot and there is lots of sun, I wear hats more often. When it's really, really sunny, I don't go out without a hat because it's just way too hot to don't wear a hat. And I have some sunglasses, but with a mask nowadays, it's super comfortable to wear sunglasses and a mask. So I usually wear a hat so my eyes are a little bit more protected. And one thing more, I do my makeup differently. Way different. So in Germany, so this is how I usually do my makeup. So I just want to show you how I did my makeup in Germany before, and you will see a difference. So just a comparison, that's why I drew the line. Full cover makeup before I moved to Japan, only concealer and covering the blemishes. After I moved to Japan, fixing spray on this side, not on this side. I drew my eyebrow with powder or pencil, only gel, eyebrow gel. Here, black eyeliner, cat eye. Here, different shades and glittery eyeshadow. No eyeliner, only in the corner of the eye, and like try to make a little puppy eye. Rouge, this part of the face. No highlighter. Rouge, this part of the face, and highlighter here and here. Lips are usually very red, only in the center, and it blends out the outside. The difference. My makeup is way different. And the last point, I am a person who tend to love sitting on a floor all the time. Even in Germany, like when I visited my mom back then in Germany, when we ate at the table and the table was low, the rest of my family was sitting on a couch, I was sitting on a floor all the time. And I still do it, as you see. Usually I film videos here on the floor because I just love sitting on a floor. But in Japan, I sit on the floor even more. At my school, their kindergarten tables are small and the chairs are small. But when I prepare stuff or when I do things, I sit on the floor. It's so much more comfortable than the tiny chairs or standing up. Like Asian squatting. What's an Asian squat? I can show you. Squat is like just squatting down. I love it. It's so comfortable. I like it a lot. And I sit like this often and a lot. It's a nice position for waiting, for doing homework, and at school like filing. When I play with the children, I do that a lot, and it's so comfortable. Can you do it? That's it for today. I hope you liked and enjoyed the video and my insights into Japan and Japanese culture and the habits I picked up and made them my own. If you have any questions about Japan, my life in Japan, Japanese culture, leave a comment. I'm happy to help and I'm happy to answer your questions. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and see you in the next one.
City of mine, how I love the city of mine. It never gets me down. City of mine.